make room for. This is a lot of the evidence. Screenshots of people speaking, screenshots between me and a lot of witnesses, a lot of people who were off on Facebook for speaking with me, harassed to the point of leaving, the threats, largely false. I mean, it's a lot. This isn't even all of it. I've had to purge my computer 3 times to try to get it all on. Because my computer gets slow and then starts freezing up. This is nearly all on my label computer and case with the Florida Police Department. I've had a few situations where it made doubles or triples of certain pictures. I don't understand why it does that, but it does. Places that I went, places that I've been on my trip, some of the stuff that was sent to me by Shelly, some of the stuff by Danica, some of the screenshots of, there's some court paperwork that shows the police lied. There's a lot. Basically, I saved every single piece of information I can. More recently, I've been getting a little paranoid and snapping at people I shouldn't, but this has been ongoing for over 2 years, and the threats haven't stopped. The police harassment has not stopped. The courts did everything in their power to prevent me from even being able to go. I literally made it to every single court date. It spent every dollar that I had. It took up all of my disability money to do this. I couldn't feed myself, and people like Mandy Hughes helped to take care of me. There's some artwork in there. The reason that it's there is because it's important information. There's some of the stuff I studied, like ancient technology, different people that were following me, different vehicles, stories about other victims. There's some airplane engines. There's a bunch of paperwork and stuff from Cabela's. There's a lot. I'm only halfway through scrolling through this stuff. There's some predators, sexual predators, child molesters, and things like that in here. There's stuff from Ted Bollinger, stuff from Tim Beeson. There's stuff from the Jeffersons. There's stuff from Nebraska. There's stuff from Colorado. There's stuff from Virginia. There's witnesses. There's people who are intimidated and their statements. I mean, there's a lot. Many of them are people who are afraid of the police. It's a lot to go through. I am still scrolling, as you can see, stuff from Danica and Shelly, stuff from Kara Johnson, stuff from Cara Mia, stuff from Layla Johnson, stuff from Sarah Miller. That was a deer I pulled out of the road in Nebraska. It was pretty scary, actually. There was a fetus not far from it. She was pregnant when she got hit by the car. There's artwork, stuff from a friend of mine who's showing me the cuts on her legs, the cuts on her arms while she was in the bathtub. The abuse that she endured. A lot of victims are in here talking about the things that I talk about, how true they are. There's a lady who was pretending to be Layla Johnson, Layla Missy Johnson, and now it's Layla Doonan. Pictures from the farm. This is one of Natalie's favorite artists here, Smiles from Boulder. Some stuff that was sent from Shelly, some more pictures from where I was stranded. This is all from Natalie here. There's a lot. So you see what it is that I had to go through without a facility to do it in. Some of those random pictures you might think are random, but they're not. Here's even more information. There's more on here. There's more on this thing. I got this camera here, it's pretty much crap. There's also a few more of those USB flash drives and stuff. One of them is in possession of Molly Smith in Chapel, Nebraska. One of them is in possession of Jen Beebe in Nebraska. One of them Miss Peaches has. There's quite a bit of stuff that getting around and gathering it all is kind of complicated. A lot of the stuff here on YouTube is conversations between myself and a lot of the victims or a lot of the people who were involved to help verify the story. There's stuff from Tabby, who I stayed with, stuff from Graham, stuff from Katie Cahill, there's stuff from Brandon Ratner. There's also people that, like Jeff, who is supposed to be helping me to get a lawyer in both the Natalie case and also with Ken and Leah when they stole my disability money. I mean, there's so much. I move around from place to place. That's where all of my money goes. Now I don't have money. People are basically paying me to speak out at this point. This is my job. I don't know necessarily the right thing to do all the time, but I'm very good at spotting some BS. And if you guys notice, with the small portion of the story that you got, there's a lot of stuff that, because I had to purge it from my computer so that my computer would work, it's on those flash drives. So I have to purge my computer in order to bring that off of the flash drives so that I can show a lot of the stuff that happened between Kara Johnson and Miss Shelley, a lot of the BS head games that they were pulling. There's also, I'd like to show you everything from Alicia. I'd like to show the other stuff from Maddie, because that's not everything from Maddie Boa. There's the part where I was trying to get a hold of her after I left Virginia back in March or so, after I'd received quite a few threats and been assaulted a few times. I tried to reach out to her, and she was giving me some straight up bullshit. She's able to see her friends, she's able to see her family, and she's sending me pretty words and telling me I need to go to an AA meeting and that'll help. Like, fuck no, I can't see my friends because this bitch wouldn't tell the truth. But that phone that I had when Natalie disappeared, that phone I had until just prior to the 4th of July, and I really had a major issue with that. I tried to get the officers in Chapel, Nebraska to help me find it. They just fed me a bunch of bullshit. There was a caseworker from Adult Protective Services. Two of the officers that I had an issue with were standing there basically intimidating me because it makes them feel good. So for me, talking to any of these people in private was not a happening thing. Meanwhile, I was scared shitless of things that are actually happening, and I couldn't get any of these people to take a look at any of that evidence. And this has gone on for about 2 years, because when I first started trying to tell police what was going on, I was in Boulder, Colorado, and I approached a random officer. That was back in January, or December of 2016. By January of 2017, I had tried to speak to officers about the threats that I was receiving and the assaults. By the middle of January, the police in Chapel, Nebraska had taken me in for a mental health hold. I was pretty pissed off. I received a few more threats. I tried to flag down the officers on several more occasions in Chapel, Nebraska. This has all been one big giant mess of officers ignoring me altogether. And now, with everything that's gone on, a lot of people are pissed off at me because I have a non-stop panic attack. They don't even try to understand why. A lot of these people have screamed at me over shit that, oh my god, I would not scream at somebody over something so stupid. But now, being as I'm so overwhelmed, I do scream at people over stupid shit. I am that black man in Boulder who had somebody taking video footage of what the Boulder police were doing. The Boulder police do worse than that on a daily basis to homeless people in Colorado. And it's not just Boulder.
Now, I can testify to the fact that there is a much larger proportion of black people than white people in the jails compared to the number of people in their community of, or per capita of each color. But I can also attest to the fact that that has more to do with homelessness than it has to do with anything else. Yes, black people are harassed, threatened, and assaulted more so than most people, but the homeless get it worse. There are more hate crimes against the homeless people than all other hate crimes combined, but the FBI doesn't consider it hate crimes. They do consider it a hate crime if you go after a sexual predator. Keep that in mind. Also, that doesn't include police interaction, and most of our harassment as homeless people comes from the police because we're easy to victimize. Our families are not in our corner. My dad finally, for the first time in my life, decided that he was going to help out a little bit. And, well, really, he could have sent me $100 3 months earlier and helped out a shit ton and allowed me to be able to keep a lot of the evidence that I had and keep my vehicle. However, he didn't want to call me back. I hadn't spoken with my father between when I left Virginia in October and when I was at Shannon Alvarado's in January, I believe, of this year. So even though I had tried to contact my dad after Natalie disappeared, he was riding a fence. He's a fucking dipshit. Anyway, he did everything that he could to try to belittle me and treat me like shit, and I don't care if you pay me money. If you're gonna do that shit, you're not helping. It's been a very confusing few months because I really don't know the right thing to do. Without money, you're not a human being here in the United States. Homeless people are harassed more than anyone else. We represent the smallest cross-section of the population. We represent the largest cross-section of the second largest cross-section of the prisons and jails. The largest cross-section of prisons, jails, and the homeless population are people who grew up in the system. That's people who grew up in the juvenile detention system, people who grew up in foster homes, group homes, places like that. We basically get dropped off at the age of 18 with absolutely nothing. I've been speaking out about this for years as well. Something needs to be done. If my voice is the only thing that I have, by God, I'll find a way to use it. And that's exactly what I'm doing. I want to thank everybody who contributed financially and helped me to make it so that I could actually do this, because if it weren't for that financial contribution, I would basically be SOL. However, I'm doing my best. I've lost everything that I own repeatedly because, well, I didn't have somebody in my corner when I needed it. And a lot of people, what they consider being in my corner wasn't. It didn't get me an honest court date. I went to every court date until I finally had to break the law at Ken and Leah's and threaten the life of the President of the United States to get an outside agency to look. And even then, they wouldn't. They were interested in framing me up and ignoring everything that I had to say unless it fit their frame job. Fuck those bastards. Fuck the president, fuck the Bollingers, fuck the media, and fuck the Boulder PD.